Welcome to the program. I'm Mark Imperial. This segment's being brought to you by booksgrowbusiness.com. It's the place where professionals and entrepreneurs publish to grow their businesses and to leave a legacy. As you know, we're doing a series of business spotlights on remarkable people, places, and things from across the country and even in your town. Joining me on this segment is Veronica Benton. She's a functional health coach from Santa Barbara County in California. However, she serves folks nationwide, in fact, worldwide, online. She's the Vitality Detective. Veronica, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me, Mark.
Just tell us briefly about your work and the types of folks that you serve.
So the type of work that I do is I help clients who are having a bit of difficulty finding answers in what is going on with them. Um, to give you an example, I had an 80-year-old client who was having chronic fatigue, couldn't get any answers. I ran a few lab tests on him, figured out what was going on, and within a few weeks he was feeling much better. And that was about 3 years ago. So to this day, he still messages me telling me how well he's doing. So I usually help people figure out how to what modifications they need to do to their diet and to their stress management, diet, rest, stress management, supplements if necessary. And we figure out together what we can do to help them reach a higher level of vitality.
The folks that reach out to you, do they have chronic problems? What are their biggest challenges? And where is it that do they come to see you first? Where do you fit into the life cycle, if you will?
So usually what happens is that they can't get any answers. They find me somehow on social media or maybe uh, through word of mouth. Um, Usually the people that come to me are having issues with their digestion or their hormones or chronic fatigue or, all of them together. So they usually reach out to me because they're just not getting anywhere with their primary care physician. That being said, I always ask that we partner with their primary care physician so that whatever recommendations I am making are not going to be interfering with whatever treatment their physician has them on.
I imagine not a lot of folks know really what a functional health coach does. Can you kind of explain more and let more people know about this type of work and how you help folks?
Absolutely. So how I work is that I figure, we're all different. There is something called bioindividuality, which is why certain people will do really well on a ketogenic diet while others don't. And this is one of the reasons that, I often see many of my clients telling me, well, but, my friend did the keto diet and they lost 20 pounds right away. And I did it and I gained 20 pounds. That's because we're all bio individuals. We have different biochemistries. And because of that, it's important to work with someone who can actually figure out what your bio individuality is. I help them with diet. I help them figure out ways to exercise that will not tax their adrenals. And then I help them figure out ways to manage their stress levels. And it's just basically a complete lifestyle change for them. And I try to do it in a way that is not overwhelming. If I give them recipes, my recipes are super easy to make. I usually tell them involve the family. I have my daughter, my 13-year-old, she'll help me cook. So we try to do this in the least stressful. They're already stressed, so we don't want to stress them more. So I try to do this in the least stressful way for them and their lifestyles.
What types of tests are involved in trying to find out somebody's particular type? Are they blood tests or physical tests? What kind of tests?
So if they have digestive issues, I usually do a stool test. If and then for their bioindividuality, what I do is I run something called a nutrition genome. Nutrition genome figures out what genes are expressing, and based on that, those are the recommendations that we make. It'll give you a list of foods that you can eat, and then we just go through that list, and then we create recipes for them. So every person has an individual plan. One person's plan is not going to be like another person's plan. So they really get a customized plan for their needs.
It sounds like it's not just for solving problems, but it sounds like overall wellness or even for
Correct.
athletes. Is that right?
Correct, correct. And this is how I started. I started out as an athlete myself with digestive issues. And I went through the training to try to figure out what was going on with me. I found out what was going on. And then because I had hormonal issues from bad training from the past, I was training with a fitness trainer that actually put me on a very low fat diet. And I don't do well on a low fat diet. My hormones were taxed. So I figured out what was going on with me. And based on that, I decided that it would be a good idea for me to help other people as well. So since then, I've had everybody from, moms with young children to people who are in their 80s reach out to me and ask for help.
Right on. So yeah, that was going to be my question. I was going to find out what inspired you to get started, and you just told me. But
Yeah.
so Veronica, tell me, for folks that, what are some common mistakes people make or misconceptions they have around, solving their problems? Can you give us a couple examples of mistakes that you see people making?
Oh, of course. So for starters, I will see people going to the store because somebody told them that a supplement is good for them. For example, licorice. Licorice is really, really good for your adrenals. Okay, they go and buy it. But what they don't know is that licorice, if you take it for too long, it can actually interfere with your blood pressure. And if you have high blood pressure, it's actually quite dangerous for someone to be on licorice. Or they will take a supplement that can interfere with their medication. Or let's say somebody's told, hey, you should really be drinking grapefruit juice. Well, yeah, grapefruit juice is great. But if you're on any medications for blood pressure or diabetes or anything like that, it can actually heighten the effects of those medications, and you can end up with an overdose. So you have to really be careful about following, any recommendations out there. I actually heard somebody say, hey, cortisol is the stress hormone. It's the killer hormone. You should lower your cortisol levels. But if somebody already has really low cortisol levels and they don't know it, that can actually kill them. So it's really super important to be careful with supplements. I see it with food as well. People eating, snacks that are 100 calories just because they're 100 calories, but then you read the ingredients and it sounds like a chemical experiment. So what I tell my clients is eat real food and then go to someone who has your best interest in mind and not a supplement company that is going to be selling you supplements just because they want to make a buck out of you. It's important to actually get advice from someone who is knowledgeable, not just because it's me, but there's many functional health coaches out there that are very knowledgeable who can make the appropriate recommendations.
You mentioned that you help people virtually online now. So, and then you mentioned the tests. How do you get tests done virtually?
So when they start working with me, they'll pick one of the packages that I offer, and then with that package comes the lab tests that they can get at their home. There are some locations, however, that it's a little bit more difficult, like New York will not allow me to run certain tests. So we have to figure out a way to work around that, or they work with their doctor and the doctor orders the tests and then we work together. But it's really simple. They just, they get their order of the lab test. They run the lab test at home and then they just ship it. It'll have clear instructions on what to do. And they send the payment directly to the lab.
You've got my mind like thinking of different ideas, because even though somebody doesn't have digestive issues or anything, but they want to have peak overall health, can they work with you and find out like what's the best
Absolutely.
diet for you? What's going to
Yes,
help them in their fitness and working out?
correct. And then the nice thing about this specific lab test that I run, which is the nutrition genome that I was telling you about, it actually recommends supplements. It will actually recommend other lab tests that you might need to run. And it will also recommend types of exercise. So for example, for me, I do really well with high intensity interval training. So I have to incorporate that into my training, 2-3 times per week.
This is really great information, Veronica. A lot of folks haven't heard this. So for folks out there that resonate with your message, that may have a challenge right now, or they want to get into peak shape themselves, how do they connect with you, learn more, and get a hold of you?
They can write to me at veronica@vitalitydetective.com. You can look for me on Instagram, Vitality Detective, or you can look for me. You can see my website, which is vitalitydetective.com.
This has been terrific. I really enjoy hearing about your business. Veronica, I wish you continued success for you and for all of your clients. And thank you for sharing today.
Thank you, Mark. Thanks for having me on the show.
This segment's been brought to you by booksgrowbusiness.com. It's the place where professionals and entrepreneurs publish to grow their businesses and to leave a legacy. That's all for now. I'm Mark Imperial.